All rise.
In Season 5, Episode 8 of Better Call Saul, titled Bagman, the episode caps off with show lead Jimmy McGill / Saul Goodman drinking his own urine. Why did I start the video with this? Wait, why the fuck would I do that, huh?
I'd better call Saul.
Okay. Let's just start this all over again. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Imagine creating one of, if not the best television show of all time, following the exploits of a chemistry teacher and a junket dealer as they break bad and cause a series of events to unfold that would rattle the whole world and change the criminal underworld forever. Imagine this grand epic about pride, greed, toxic masculinity, sick as fuck montages set in the backdrop of Albuquerque, New Mexico, without a single second of wasted screen time. Imagine ending this story in the best way it possibly could have ended, tying a neat bow around the whole package without a hint, the need for a continuation or a spin-off. And now, imagine thinking, yeah, we can do it again, except it's a prequel about the lawyer guy. Better Call Saul is amazing. If you haven't given this little TV universe a chance, I would highly recommend it from the bottom of my heart. It is so good, you will enjoy every second of it, I promise. Creators Peter Gould and Vince Gilligan, along with all the talented people behind and in front of the camera, have done it again. Not only have they made a compelling show on par with Breaking Bad, but they've also avoided the spin-off curse, where it pales in comparison to the parent show, not bringing anything new to the table, only created to appease fans or fill in a studio obligation. And as the final season airs this month, I just wanted to take a look back at the show and just pick apart what I love about it. One last victory lap before the finish line, assuming we get there without everything crashing and burning down. Well, without further ado, let's start with the very beginning of the show, I mean, obviously, why wouldn't you start your prequel show by showing the ending? I mean, what are you, stupid? No. This storytelling technique is nothing really new. In fact, some of my favorite stories ever told use a flash forward at the beginning to get the audience invested into seeing how everything plays out before those moments. However, it's a little different here. This isn't the colorful world of Saul Goodman we were promised from the title, it's the black and white world of Gene Takovich, manager of a Cinnabon in Omaha, Nebraska. This is the last stop for our main character after the events of Breaking Bad. But we're not going to see exactly how Jimmy ends up here, we already have the whole picture. And for the better part of 3 seasons, we never really got a hint as to where this was going. So why include these flash forwards in the first place? Let me rephrase that question. Why not include these flash forwards in the first place? This isn't just a wink and a nudge to the Breaking Bad fans. It's a narrative tool to heighten the viewer experience, adding a layer of foreboding into the story. It's to show that no matter what happens, rain or shine, no matter what Jimmy can do to save himself, every choice he makes, everything he does will eventually lead him here. Working at a Cinnabon in a mall, utterly alone, his daily life void of color, of anything exciting. It's the great tragedy of the show. It's already written in stone. All we can do is watch how everything plays out. And we're not only watching Jimmy, we're also watching...
Hey, have you seen this?
The cast of the show may be one of the best in the last decade. Everyone brings something to the table, even characters that only show up for a brief second. The skateboarders, the college film crew, not one character that is on screen is not used effectively. Jimmy McGill is a far cry from the expert in tiger law we see in Breaking Bad.
Repeat this key phrase. That's not my tiger.
His car, a yellow Suzuki Esteem with a red door, a pile of garbage compared to his Cadillac, is a metaphor for who Jimmy is at the beginning of the series. An underdog lawyer trying to be on the straight and narrow, but with a little something that's off. Jimmy's compulsion to break the rules becomes more and more untempered as he slowly believes that he's trapped himself in a game he'll never win if he continues to play by the rules. Forever the sucker. The slow descent into Saul Goodman is brilliantly written by the writers and portrayed beautifully by Bob Odenkirk. Returning from Breaking Bad as the second main lead for the show, Mike Ehrmantraut, played by Jonathan Banks, takes the brunt of all the major crime on the world stuff, while Jimmy's story is more focused on the law side of things, although they do cross over from time to time. Mike's character is more in line with his Breaking Bad counterpart, but Better Call Saul gives Mike more clarity on the events leading him to become Gus Frings' no-half-measures right-hand man. His obligation to provide for his family, as well as blaming himself for getting his son killed, informs us as to why he does what he does. Even if some say he's already paid, he still feels his penance isn't over. Through this, they still find a way to give Mike an engaging character arc that intertwines with Jimmy, as they both become who they are in Breaking Bad. Rhea Seehorn as Kim Wexler is the standout of the entire show. She very quickly becomes the heart of the show. Better Call Saul does not work without Kim Wexler. Her refusal to let Jimmy go and her active participation in his schemes and cons over the course of the show, despite being an acclaimed lawyer, is harrowing to watch, yet you can't look away either. Why does she stick with Jimmy? How deep of a hole will she dig herself into? Will she even make it out alive? One of the many anticipated aspects of the show hinges on these questions being answered. Michael McKean as Chuck McGill was robbed of an award. I'm dead serious. It was an extremely difficult task for the writers to make Chuck this double-edged sword. On one hand, understanding where his disdain for Jimmy comes from, but also hating the lengths he goes to push his brother down for being a lawyer, his equal, arguably his superior. It's even worse performing it. But Peter Gould be damned, Michael McKean managed to bring one of the best performances of the 21st century out of it. Michael Mando as Nacho as Jesse if he had drip. Howard Hamlin, played by Patrick Fabian, is the perfect side character. He went from the perceived antagonist of season 1 to the normal guy having to look after his own firm while caught in the crossfire of decades of sibling jealousy and sabotage. We're all rooting for him to make it out okay, even if it's highly likely that he doesn't. But hey, we gotta talk about the best.
The terrifying, the deadly, the amazing
Lola Salamanca.
Oh, hey!
Despite originating from a vague throwaway line along with Nacho in Breaking Bad, and first appearing towards the end of season 4, Lola Salamanca has cemented himself right up there with the greats in the Breaking Bad world. He's the best kind of character. Charismatic, mischievous, surprising. There's not a single bad scene from this guy. Watching him run circles around Gus the minute he shows up at Los Pollos Hermanos, breaking into the deposit store by literally climbing into the ceiling, the way he constantly surprises each of the characters with his antics and discoveries. I know we're not supposed to root for the bad guys, but damn if I wasn't enjoying Lalo trying to figure out that Jimmy was lying to him. I just can't wait for him to return with a vengeance in season 6. Watching Breaking Bad was like watching a plane crash. It was loud, explosive, violent, intense. The dials were turned up to 11. Anyone at any moment could have been shot, killed, or worse. Walt and Jesse's journey was filled with high-octane action and suspense, and it was awesome. Better Call Saul, on the other hand, is almost the complete opposite.
Tom, Judge, what would you say? These boys, 19.
While Breaking Bad would have a montage of making meth set to wonky music and sick editing, Better Call Saul has a quiet moment where Jimmy sells his service in elder law while classical music plays in the background.
Hello there, James McGill, attorney at law. How are you this fine?
The filmmaking behind Better Call Saul is a lot more mature than Breaking Bad. Now, that's not a knock at Breaking Bad. The frantic and primarily handheld shooting style of the first season and how the rest of the plot unfolded from episode 1 benefited from this guerrilla style filmmaking choice. Without it, some of the best moments of the show wouldn't have hit as hard. But Better Call Saul operates under a different type of storytelling, where instead of an action-oriented drama that has interesting characters, you have interesting characters being a part of a character-driven plot. This approach lets the filmmakers experiment a bit more, to hold on to a frame a second longer, to give something as boring as photocopying this sick montage set to one of the many licensed songs the show uses. Focus of the scene dictates how the scene is filmed, and that can lead to all sorts of creativity in the visuals. I mean, don't get me wrong, the Breaking Bad montages were pretty good, but holy shit, Better Call Saul just tops themselves constantly. I mean, there's no reason why these little film strip here things, like on the left side of the screen of the montage where Jimmy gets fired, should be there, but they're there to heighten the absurdity of Jimmy's actions of what he tries to do to get his coworkers to hate him and his bosses hate him enough to fire him. I mean, like, what? It's amazing. The Something Stupid montage where a split screen is between Kim and Jimmy in order to convey a passage of time and highlight how far they are drifting apart from each other, career and relationship wise, would not fit anywhere at all in Breaking Bad. It would become a completely different show. The show never goes full Breaking Bad, creating this nice in-between feeling, as if everything is on the cusp of exploding, which will definitely be felt during season 6. Listen, I could go on and on about every little thing I love about Better Call Saul, and why I think it is one of, if not the best television show of all time. I really wish I could, but I'm not going to have this video out in April if I do. Season 6, split into 2 parts, will finally bring an end to the Breaking Bad universe. So I guess the BB, BCS, EC, EU?
goddamn right.
In between the finale of Season 5 and the air date of Season 6, we've had a still ongoing pandemic, Bob Odenkirk suffering a heart attack and surviving, World War III almost happening. It's honestly a miracle this show is even coming out at all in the first place. This gigantic story that took 11 seasons and a movie to tell will finally reach its dramatic conclusion, and I and many others wouldn't have had it any other way. We just can't wait to see how everything unfolds from here. Before this video ends though, I want to briefly go back to Jimmy drinking his own piss. I said in the beginning of the episode as a joke to start the video off, you know, Cookie, oh look at me, so funny, subscribe and like, whatever. But diving deeper into why this closes the episode, I started to see why they actually did it. This moment wraps up an entire episode where Jimmy and Mike are forced to traverse the Mexican desert primarily on foot. This final shot follows the one victory Jimmy and Mike have this episode, their one win stopping the pursuer after everything they've been through. Jimmy, sitting on the road, exhausted mentally and physically, but victorious, finding a new sense of purpose in his life, drinks his urine. A fuck you to giving up. But did you catch it? Did you see the water bottle? It's a Davison Maine water bottle. The place he tried to get as far away from has the thing he needs to survive. I mean, sure, later on he throws away the space blanket, but he used it. He needed it. That's the irony of Better Call Saul. Like he says, the McGill name is burnt. Saul Goodman is an escape from the past life of Jimmy McGill, the days where he was going nowhere, where everything was pushing him down, the whole world out to get him, even his own family.
And he gets to be a lawyer? What a sick joke!
Saul Goodman was supposed to be that hero. Not a good guy, but a way for Jimmy to save himself from the guilt he feels. The guilt he feels from taking the money from the cash register when he was a kid. The guilt from his Chicago sunroof incident. The guilt from killing Chuck. It's an escape from taking responsibility for his actions. But time and time again, the universe keeps telling him,
the wheel is gonna turn. It always does.